Demon Slayer Mugen Train takes place right after the end of the original series and of course follows the characters of Tanjiro, Zenitsu, Inosuke, and the lovable Nezuko as they board a mysterious train that is being terrorized by what other than a demon. This one particular demon happens to be a demon who was introduced in the very last episode of Demon Slayer, and is one of the higher ranking demons with it that works under Muzan. Along with this new villain, we're also introduced to the Fire Hashira, Rengoku, who we were also introduced to in the Demon Slayer series, but Rengoku did not get a lot of screen time in that series. He does get much more screen time in this movie, and he does get quite a bit of character development. Now, of course, Rengoku is here because he had heard that there was a demon terrorizing this train, and he came to investigate along with Tanjiro and his friends. We do learn about the abilities of this demon known as Enmu, and that he is able to put people to sleep. When he puts people to sleep, the things that they dream about are the things that they desire the most. So we see the dreams of the different characters such as Tanjiro, Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Rengoku. Tanjiro's dream is, of course, him being reunited with his family, more like a what-if scenario, like what if his family had not been killed in the beginning of the series, and it is pretty much the dream that gets focused on the most aside from Rengoku's dreams and his flashbacks. Tanjiro's dreams are very much seems to be like the emotional core of at least the beginning half of the movie. It's basically highlighting his desire to have his family still be alive and be reunited with them, but also his struggle trying to move on and accept the fate, the hand that fate has dealt him. Zenitsu and Inosuke's dreams, on the other hand, are much more comedic in nature, of course, considering the kinds of characters they are. Zenitsu's dream has to do with him carrying around Nezuko and basically being a protector of sorts of Nezuko, and Nezuko just being in awe of him, and Nezuko being able to talk. Inosuke's dream pretty much gives us an idea of how Inosuke seems to perceive Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Nezuko, and he pretty much just perceives them as his underlings, whereas he is the cool leader that they just all follow. So, I mean, that's pretty much in line with what we've seen from Inosuke, where he acts like he's pretty much the main character, more or less, of his own story. Rengoku's dreams, however, have to do with his mother and his father. His father being disapproving of him, no matter what, it seems. Him joining the ranks of the Hashiras does not seem to impress his father, and it seems like no matter what he does, Rengoku cannot impress his father. His father just seems to be generally apathetic and disappointed in his son no matter what he does. And this is very different from how his father used to be. His father went through some sort of a change where now he is not the man he once was. But aside from his father, the person that it seems Rengoku really wants to make proud is his mother, as his mother, of course, also has very high expectations of Rengoku, as we see from his flashback. And it really gives us an idea as to Rengoku's motivations and the main reasons why he is a Hashira. Aside from his parents, we also see that Rengoku has a little brother, whom Rengoku really wants his brother to decide for himself what he wants to do, but it also seems very obvious that his brother also looks up to Rengoku as a sort of role model, which is pretty much the gist of what we get from Rengoku's flashbacks and his dreams in this movie. It does do a good job at developing Rengoku as a character, despite the short amount of screen time he got in the series. The movie at least tries to develop him as much as it can within the runtime it has. Now, while the characters are having this dream, there are a group of humans that we learned are working with Enmu, and the humans are basically invading their dreams and trying to find the cores of their dreams, and if they destroy the cores of their dreams, I suppose they can kill them within the dream or just have them never wake up again. So the first half of this movie basically is them having these dreams and also trying to prevent these group of humans from destroying the cores of their dreams and potentially killing them. It isn't really much of a spoiler to say that the reason these humans are doing this is because that Enmu had taken advantage of them when they were weak, and took advantage basically of their desperation to want to have their greatest wish desired, which is to be reunited with their deceased family. Because we see with one of the children, at least, that his entire family had been killed, and that he only wanted to be reunited with them, and this was supposedly the only way he could do that was to work with Enmu and have his desires, or have his wish granted, by basically having an eternal dream of sorts where he is with his family again. Of course, it's not really, again, not much of a spoiler to say that some of the characters do eventually wake up, and this is where we get our fight with Enmu, which does last pretty much throughout most of the movie, and it is a very, very interesting, a very good fight. The fight scenes were great. The animation is as good as we've seen from the Demon Slayer series. The story was decent for what it was, I felt. The characters were all around pretty good. It's, again, like what we've seen with the Demon Slayer series. The new additions, of course, being the villain of Enmu and the Flame Hashira Rengoku. I do think they did like I mentioned before, I think they did a good job at developing Rengoku as much as they could, and he is really the emotional core, I would say, of this story. And I will say, without spoiling anything, there are some pretty hard-hitting emotional moments with Rengoku. For how much they developed him in this movie, I do feel like those emotional moments do hit for the most part. My only criticism would be, I feel like they would hit a bit harder if he had been a more important character in the series and had more screen time in the series before this movie. I will say, as aside from Enmu, there is another villain in this movie that does show up at the very end of the film, and honestly, I felt like this was the highlight of the movie, as I think this is really what I remember the most about it. Like, they really went out of their way to sell the scene, first of all, as a very, like I mentioned before, just very hard-hitting emotional scene, and also just a really ufotable, showing why they are the GOAT. Showing that they have, animation that is on par, if not even better than what we saw from episode 19 of Demon Slayer. The animation with this fight scene with this new villain that shows up at the end between this villain and this demon and Rengoku is really a sight to behold. It is probably, in my opinion, the best part of this movie. There are a lot of other memorable moments in the movie. I do think the abilities that the demon Enmu has, aside from him being able to put people to sleep, are also very interesting. I won't really go into those. If you like the Demon Slayer series, you will definitely love this movie. If you did not like Demon Slayer, then there's not really much this movie does that's going to convince you otherwise. But like I said, if you're already a fan, this movie you're going to absolutely love this movie. There's not really much negative I can say about it. The animation is on point as always, and if there are some scenes that I would argue are actually somewhat better than what we've seen from the series. The soundtrack is incredible. I believe this is also done by Yuki Kadra, who's the same composer from the Demon Slayer series, and of course we have the main theme song being done by Lisa, who did the opening theme for Demon Slayer. Of course, the story is nothing incredible, and I really wasn't going in expecting to be told like some really in-depth story. It's good for what it is, for being being under the shonen genre. This is fairly typical, if not maybe a little bit above average in terms of storytelling. I really think it's the characters that sell the movie, especially the character of Rengoku. He is definitely, like I said, the highlight. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about this movie. This was a spoiler-free review. I will be doing a spoiler discussion with my friend Bluespade later this week. But yeah, this is basically my much shorter, spoiler-free thoughts on the Demon Slayer movie. Let me know what you guys thought of the movie in the comments section, and if you've seen it. This movie has been getting a lot of attention. Like, when I went to see this in theaters, there were a lot of screens showing this movie, and there was a lot of people there, so I was actually kind of shocked, but I guess I shouldn't be, considering this movie was very popular in Japan. I'm guessing this movie is going to be doing this, going to be the same way in America, too. So yeah, but anyways, until next time, I will see you guys later.